Hi there. I got an email into the studio from Shannon, and she has a question about scales on guitar. She says, about a year ago, I began studying guitar after playing piano for 6 years. I was wondering if you could quickly explain how scales work on the guitar, because I'm finding it quite different compared to the piano. So I imagine that you're a little bit confused going from how you studied the notes on piano and the scales laid out on piano as opposed to how they would be on guitar, which makes sense. I mean, I play piano as well, and on a keyboard, as opposed to a fretboard, there's two different things really going on. Like, you know, on a piano keyboard, you're studying the scales in terms of notes. You know, like if you had a G major scale, you would be studying, you know, the natural tones, and then you have an F sharp in G major scale, so you'd have to hit a black key for your F sharp. And you're also learning about, you know, hand positions and how to roll your thumb over to perform the 7 tones of the scale on the keyboard of the piano. And you think, you know, when you move from, let's say, a scale like G major to perhaps a scale like, well, I don't know, let's say just A major, which has 3 sharps, all of a sudden your fingerings are going to change, and you're going to have 3 black keys in that layout on your keyboard. But when all this stuff is going down on a guitar, it's really just one geometrical shape. It's almost like a fingering layout. So if I had a G major scale off the 6th string, and you can see my fingering layout goes on the 6th string, fingers 2 to 4, 1, 2, 4 on the 5th string, and then 1, 3, 4 on the 4th string. That gives me basically a major scale layout off the 6th string. Anywhere I do that fingering is going to give me a major scale off of obviously a different root. So doing it here off 3rd fret 6th string, which is a G, gives me a G major scale. If I move it up, I don't have to really know or even worry about the fact that A major has 3 sharps in it. I could just play that exact same fingering shape, you know, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, and I've basically got an A major scale. I know that the A is a root, and I know the pattern that I'm playing is an A major scale, so I'm safe. I know that it's going to work. It's going to operate properly. And just anywhere you place that layout along the neck, it's just going to give you a major scale. You don't have to really know notes or worry about notes too much. That's kind of why a lot of people who play guitar notoriously don't really know how to read music, or they're not very good with their notes on their actual fretboard. Which isn't a great thing, but I mean, the more you study, the more you'll get to know them, especially if you study music reading on the fretboard. That's going to be a huge plus for you in getting to know your notes along the neck. I'd really highly recommend that. I think tab is good, but I think you really need to know both. You need to know how to read tab, you need to know how to read chord charts, and you definitely need to know how to read music if you want to be well-rounded. And all that study that you do on music reading will help you a lot with your fretboard knowledge of where all the tones are for your notes. But basically on guitar, the thing I'd recommend to you is a study principle, and you can download some of the information I have off of my website to help you along with this. But I would get to know, there's 5 octave pattern shapes that are really popular along the neck, and I would say maybe starting off of C notes. There's 5 of them. This is the first one. It's going from, that I'm going to show you anyways, off of the 5th string going to the 2nd string, C notes there. And then 5th string to 3rd string, C notes. There's a 2 octave shape that comes next, going from the 6th to the 3rd to the 1st, then the 6th to the 4th to the 1st, and then from the 4th string finally up here to the 2nd string at 13th fret for all the C notes. And what those do is, there's 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And those shapes basically can be templates for you that you can place your scales within. So if I wanted a C major scale down here, there it is using some open strings, and that's creating one type of shape. All the exact same notes can be produced coming from the next octave pattern that we looked at. In the 2nd position, giving you a whole another range of notes for C major scale. If I go to the 5th position, I can have a whole brand new geometrical layout for the notes of C major, and then just keeps going. Then there's another one. So that gives me a pattern in 7th position for C major, and then there's one left up top here. So that one's kind of funny because it starts and ends on the 4th string at that C note, and there's all kinds of ways of doing these. I'm just giving you, one set, but there's many ways that you could play this. This one that I just did, though, I kind of treat it as the final shape up here as a 4th string root scale. So I'm kind of focusing on, starting from 4th string, going all the way through it, and then passing by the root, and then resolving again. Like you could go down and then play all the way to that C, so you could have 2 full octaves covering that range. But to me now, like you're sort of using a piece of that other octave shape. So the way I like teaching them, and the way I like trying to help students compartmentalize this information, because it is kind of a lot of stuff to study. It takes, geez, at least, I don't know, several months, 3 months at least, I would say, to memorize all the scales, and then, geez, it can take, years to really get to use them effectively. But yeah, I mean, that's what I teach students around here. Is I teach them these octave pattern principles about how everything connects together by just a series of templates. They're just octave templates along the neck, and those templates are really nice when you put almost like a small box-shaped scale around them, because the way I teach it anyway is I try and teach things within about 4 fret range, so it's fairly manageable for people to study the shape and get decent at the shape. So that's what I'd recommend doing. Maybe just download the PDF that I'll put in the accompanying article with this question that I'm answering for you, Shannon, and so you can just study that. But it does take time, and it's a little bit of work. It's just like on piano. I mean, you need to develop the technique and the fingerings to play all the different keys on piano, and on guitar it's the same thing. It's like technique. There's fingerings to develop. But there is just the one plus side is once you learn a shape, like let's say for A major, if I play that full 6-string shape coming from 5th fret there for A major, once you learn that as a shape, geez, if you need C major, just scoot up the neck to a C note, play the exact same shape, and you've got a C major scale. So they're movable. Once you get one down and you know the fingering layout and the scale geometry, then you can just move it elsewhere. And like I was saying, using this 5-octave pattern principle, they come together pretty fast, and you're able to know your whole neck. I would say, like roughly in about a 3 to 4 month period, you would basically be able to know your entire fretboard in any key, and then definitely spend quite a bit of time on improvising. There's nothing more common that I find with students that come in here. That they at some point in their life they learned how to play scales, but then they forgot all of them because they never used them. That's it. I hate hearing those stories, because really the next natural progression in study is after you begin getting the scales together. Certainly begin trying to make music with them. I mean, the scale, there's lots of things you can do to study it in a position, but I mean, making music and playing it so that you have melodic lines. Playing things. Doing melodic statements and playing the scale in a sort of broken way, and playing it with intervals and sequences mixed in is going to, alongside of phrasing devices like slides and bends and hammer-ons and pull-offs. That's where you'll really begin memorizing your fretboard, and because you'll be taking the information and making it musical, rather than it just being sort of an exercise, sitting there and making up studies and that are really mechanical. I mean, that's good. That's very good work, but it has to be balanced with making music, obviously. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question fairly concisely. And yeah, so take care and have a great day.